What's up, Precalculus? This is geometric sequence that we went over in class today. A little different from arithmetic. Arithmetic basically means you go from one number and add the same amount to the next number, whereas geometric means multiply. So instead of using D, we actually use R. Instead of using D for common difference, we have a common ratio. This is what we'll be multiplying by to get from one term to the next. So if our ratio is 2 and we started with 2, it would be 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, so on and so forth. Well, for the first problem, it says find the sixth term and explicit formulas for the nth term. That's supposed to be term right there. For the nth term, okay, given u sub 1 and r, given our first term and our ratio. Well, to find any specific term, we use u sub n is equal to u sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. Okay? So therefore, we're just going to plug in so we could figure out what u sub 6 would be. So we're looking for our sixth term. So you're going to plug exactly into the formula. U sub 1 would be 4 times r is 2. And then n is the number of terms. Since we're looking for the sixth term, we're going to put a 6 right here. And there you have it. So we just do a little bit of math from there. 4 times 6 minus 1 is 5. 2 to the 5th. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. So if you multiply 4 times 32, you get 128. So again, plug exactly into the formula, our first term and our ratio. And n, again, is the number of terms. So since we're looking for our sixth term. Alright, so hopefully that makes sense. And also the explicit formulas, what you do is you just set up u sub n, and you plug exactly what we did last time. Just don't plug a number in for n. So we still have 4 times 2 to the n minus 1. Now you cannot multiply those two because this exponent is connected to that base, so you can't multiply. So you just leave it right there. So our answer is u sub n equals 4 times 2 to the n minus 1, and this is our explicit formula. Okay? So hopefully that example made sense, and yeah, good luck. Watch this. I'm going to do a Star Wars transition right here. It's going to go across. Alright, so for this example, it wants us to find the partial sum, okay? N is equal to 5, that's the amount of terms that we have. Our first term is 3, and our common ratio is 2. So it wants us to find the sum. So now this is a different formula. So the formula for sum is going to be u sub 1 times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. Okay? Now we'll plug this in to find our sum. Alright, so here we go. We have u sub 1, which is 3, times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. We just plug exactly into the formula, the variables that we know. And let's work it out from here. We have 1 minus 32 over negative 1, 1 minus 2. So easy math here. We have negative 31 over negative 1, but those cancel out, the negative over negative. So 3 times 31 is 93. So that is how you find your sum. If you're given number of terms, u sub 1 and r. Okay, just plug exactly in that formula, reduce this fraction, and then multiply, and there you have it, 93. Okay, good luck with that. Here goes another Star Wars transition this way. So, for example 3 that we did, it wants us to find u sub 5 and the explicit formula. Okay, well, we need to find our ratio first. That's the first thing we need to do. Now, since these are right next to each other, first term to the second term, we can go ahead and say 8 divided by 2. One term divided by the one before it will give us our ratio. So in this case, our ratio is 4. Again, the way we found that is we did 8 divided by 2. Okay? So we know our ratio is 4. So now our fifth term, to find u sub 5, we throw in our first term, 2, times ratio to the n minus 1. In this case, n is 5, so 5 minus 1. Therefore, we're left with 2 times 4 to the 4th power, so 4, 16, 64, 256. Okay, so our final answer is going to be 512. U sub 5 is equal to 512. So that's how we find U sub 5. You need to find the ratio first, and then we just plug our first term in the ratio into our formula, and there we have it. Now the explicit, if you know the first term, it's really easy, okay? So you have u sub n is equal to your first term times your ratio to the n minus 1. And there you go. So again, for the explicit formula, you're not trying to solve anything, you're just trying to write a formula with n in the equation. Okay, so that is this example. Alright? Let's go to our last example. Actually, no, sorry. No, I'm going to do one more from this type of problem. Okay? What if the numbers aren't right next to each other? Okay? So what if I give you this? U sub 1 is equal to 81, and u sub 4 is equal to negative 3. What do we do then? Again, we still have to solve for r. So we can't just do one term divided by the other because these are 3 terms away from each other. So we have to use the other formula. Negative 3 is equal to, so like u sub n is equal to u sub 1 times r to the n minus 1. So 1 to 4, there's 4 terms, so do 4 minus 1. Okay? Now again, we need to get r by itself to figure this out. So we're going to get the 81 out of there by dividing. So you get negative 1 over 27 is equal to r to the 3rd. Okay? And again, we need to get rid of anything away from r. So get rid of the cube right here. So we do the 3rd root of both sides. And it's okay that there's a negative underneath the 3rd root because it's an odd root. So therefore, r is going to be equal to negative. When you take the 3rd root of 1 over 27, you get 1/3. Because 1 to the 3rd is 1, 3 to the 3rd is 27. Okay? So now we're going to find u sub 5. U sub 5 is equal to our first term, 81, times our radius, which is negative 1/3, to the n minus 1. From 1 to 5, it gives us 5. Okay? So therefore, we still have the 81 there. Negative 1/3 to the 4th, so we know it's going to be positive because it's an even exponent, gives us 1 over, and then 3 to the 4th, which is 81. Again, what I did was, I did 1 to the 4th over 3 to the 4th. Okay? Gives us 1 over 81, which in this case, these reduce, so u sub 5 is equal to 1. Alright? And lastly, to find our explicit formula, we just do u sub n is equal to our first term times our ratio, which is negative 1/3 to the n minus 1. And there you have it. So again, find the ratio, find u sub 5, find the explicit formula. So good luck with that. Now we're actually moving on to our last example. Alright, so for example 4, our 4th and last example, it wants us to find the sum. Now again, this is called sigma notation. Okay, it's written in sigma notation, where n is the number of terms from the bottom to the top. So in this case, n is 5. Okay. Now we're asked to find the sum, so we're going to use our sum formula, in which we need to know our first term, we need to know the ratio, and we need to know the number of terms. So we know there's 5 terms, so we need to find the ratio and the first term. Now the ratio is whatever the base is that's being affected by the exponent. The base that has the exponent is your ratio. So in this case, it's 3. Alright? And lastly, we have we need to find u sub 1, so you throw your bottom term, so this bottom number, into n. So 3 to the first power is just 3. Therefore, now we just plug in to our formula. So S sub n is equal to u sub 1, which is 3, times 1 minus r to the n, r to the 5th, 3 to the 5th, over 1 minus 3. Okay? Now it's going to do some basic math here. We have 3, 1 minus 3 to the 5th is 3, 9, 27, 81, 243. Okay? Over 1 minus 3. So now let's just work this out. 3, 1 minus 243 is negative 242 over negative 2. Negatives cancels out. This actually reduces to 3 times 121. Okay? 242 divided by 2. And then multiply that by 3. You get 363 is your sum. So again, the way we do this is establish what n is, establish your ratio, establish your first term. And then once you've done these 3 things, you can just plug into your formula and just do the work from there. Okay? So let's just do a quick one also with the same directions. Let's just change up some numbers here. So we're still going to use this formula. Okay? So, if I were to tell you j is equal to 1, and then this is a 6, then we have 4 times 2 to the j minus 1. So now I added in a couple other things here. Added another number and something to the exponent. So we still have to do the same thing. Find u sub 1, find n, find r. Okay? Well, we know n is 1 to 6, so 6 terms. Our ratio, again, it is the base that has the exponent. Since the 4 doesn't have the exponent, our base is the 2. Our ratio is the 2. Alright? And lastly, to find our first term, you plug in the bottom. In for your variable, 1 minus 1 is 0. 2 to the 0 power is 1. Times 4 is 4. There you have it. So now we just plug into our formula. We get 4 times 1 minus 2 to the 6th over 1 minus 2. Which gives us 1 minus 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. Over negative 1. So that's 4 times negative 63 over negative 1, which those reduce. So you have 4 times 63, which is 240, 252. Is your final answer. Okay? So I hope that made sense. Keep watching the video over and over if you need to. So we're just dealing with geometric, the sum formula and the specified term formula, which again was this. Okay? So good luck with that. I hope this makes sense, and I hope you do well. And ask questions if you need. Alright? Good luck with that. Peace out.